What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'm gonna do our 1-year ownership update with our 8Y 2024 Audi RS3. We've owned this car now for 1 whole year. This is my wife's car. She loves it. She picked it out and she's just a huge Audi fan and likes small 4-door cars. So we're gonna get into kind of all of our likes and dislikes, what we've done with the RS3, what our plans for this car are in the future, and just a general consensus of what it's been like to own the newest Audi RS3. So to start this all off, let's get into the backstory. So like I said, this is my wife's car. She picked this out. This is what she wanted. In the past, when we first met, she did have an Audi A3 for about a year. And then later on, once we got married, we bought the Audi S3. And we bought the S3 right about when we ordered this car. We knew this was gonna be almost a 2-year wait, so we figured, let's get rid of her Lexus IS, get something fun that I could film for the channel that was the exact same price as her Lexus, to where even trade, get into something more fun for the videos. So we did that. We had the S3 for about 2 years, and then this car finally arrived 18 months later, and then we sold the S3 and are now on to this. So my wife's had the A3, the S3, and the RS3. Needless to say, she likes Audis and really likes the RS cars, especially now that we own one. So the type of driving that this car has seen, kind of a good blend of everything, I would say, in the local area. We haven't done any long distance road trips. We haven't driven this car up to Michigan to visit her family or anything like that. We've been fortunate to where the last year we've been able to use a press car for each of those trips. So possibly soon, we'll see what this year brings us. We might be taking this to Michigan later in the year for some Christmas adventures. So we'll see on that. But this car has basically been driven around town. I've driven it to film YouTube videos. Obviously, I filmed a lot of videos on it. She's gone to hair appointments, all the normal stuff that she's gonna be doing, driving it to go grocery shopping. We've used it as kind of a daily driving car like that. We don't really have your typical daily job though. My wife works from home. Her office is above the garage. So my office is in the garage and she is right above me. So she doesn't take this to work and back every day. It's not a commuter car, given she works from home and half the time I'm working from home as well. So we have 3,500 miles on this car after 1 year, which honestly is pretty decent amount of driving given I have a weekly press car. I've always owned 2 cars pretty much alongside this. So not too bad when you divide that up between basically 4 cars, and we average about 10,000 miles in the press cars each year. Some of the things that we like and dislike, we really like how refined this feels. Coming from the 2016 S3, which obviously is a pretty old car compared to this generation now, this is really nice. In comfort mode, the suspension is soft, the steering is really smooth, really relaxed. It's quiet in here. You don't hear the road noise and the wind noise. The seats are pretty comfortable. They are a little bit on the stiffer side, so they're not crazy plush luxury seats, but this is an RS car, so they're gonna be obviously more performance focused. We love the memory seating in this. My wife and I are like 9 inches different in height. So when she's driven the car, if I hop into it, my knees get stuck under the steering wheel. I love how I can open the door, press my button, and the seat goes to where I want it. So memory seating we've really enjoyed. The refinements we've really enjoyed. The technology works pretty nice. The screen, sometimes there's a little lag. And what I've noticed now that this is the most tech-savvy car either of us have ever owned, I don't use 99% of the stuff that's on modern cars in these screens. I know modern cars are pushing so many touchscreen things, all this stuff. I literally have hardly used anything that this car has to offer as far as tech goes. So what I've noticed is Apple CarPlay we use. I've never used the built-in navigation. I do like the cool gauge clusters, and then physical climate controls we like a lot. So really that's the only tech stuff we've used is CarPlay and the climate buttons. That's literally all we ever use in the car. Aside from that, we just drive it and have fun driving it. It does remind me a lot of my old Nissan GTR, which I owned that car for 5.5 years. That was a huge staple on our channel. The RS3, it has so many characteristics that the GTR had that I didn't quite expect, but I absolutely love. Now mods, we have the Armor Speed intake, H&R springs and spacers, AWD exhaust, we have mid pipes on here as well. All those parts you can take a look at on our website, linked down below. If you want to soup up your own Audi RS3, they make a world of difference. This thing books it. It gets up to speed so quick. It's also got the dual clutch transmission to where it's ultra refined and smooth when you make those shifts. They're very fast. With the mods, of course, that 5-cylinder has woken up. It has somewhat of a baby V10 soundtrack to it. The intake, you hear the blow off noise, the flutter, the turbo whistle a little bit. It is super cool. With the upgraded suspension and spacers, we've hunkered down this car a little bit to where it handles better, and it's just a blast to take around turns. It is really confidence inspiring. I like how planted this thing is. Given it's got the all-wheel drive and a more fancy suspension, you're able to take turns pretty quickly and just be able to enjoy the refinement level that this car has and the precisionally built car that it is to take turns fast. It's a very confident sports car, and that's definitely one thing that I've liked about it. For me and my wife, we will never own a boring, normal car. Nothing against that. A lot of people, like having a normal, typical daily driver, point A to point B car, which is the masses. Obviously, that's where car makers make their money. For us, no. We like the fun cars. We have to have a car that's fun, fun, fun. That is literally our first priority with a car. It's got to be a heck of a lot of fun to drive. And the RS3 gives you that. You got the power, you got the handling. Man, it is cool. Now, as far as some downfalls with the car, my wife's biggest gripe is the fact that when you're in comfort mode, this car never truly tones down, specifically the transmission. Now, I taught my wife how to drive manual in my Supra last year. She can drive a stick shift, which is awesome. She does not like driving them whatsoever, has zero interest in ever driving one again. So she's not really that into shifting the car in any way, shape, or form. Even with the paddles, she couldn't care less. So for her, she drives it in automatic mode. If she's in comfort mode, just cruising, the car is comfortable, soft, normal, all that good stuff. The one drawback is this car never tones down to where, let's say you need to make an aggressive maneuver. I mean, this thing's fast, so a lot of times you floor it. Flooring it. I'm letting off. We're still in third gear. There we go. We finally downshifted into fourth. Still not even in fifth yet. It seems like the car is always like a caffeinated toddler, to where once you floor it, the car gets hyper and stays in that low gear for quite a long time. And I know a lot of people are going to comment, because I've seen the comments before, it's an RS car. Obviously, it's going to be kind of a high-strung sports car staying in those low gears, high RPMs. I get it. However, why does this car have like 6 different drive modes if realistically they don't all do that much of a difference? When you're in comfort mode, I would expect this car to really tone down. You drive a BMW M3 Competition, which is a significant step up from this car. It tones down and is really relaxed in comfort mode. When I look at my old R35 GTR, significantly step up in performance. Driving that car in normal mode, automatic, you floor it, it'll do its thing, get you going. As soon as you let off the gas, within a second or two, it's toned back down. This car doesn't do that. I would love to tune comfort mode in this car to where after 2 or 3 seconds of ripping it, it relaxes. So if you're not about to step on the gas again, go back to the high gear. Now, if you're in dynamic mode or RS Performance or individual in automatic mode, I get it. Hold those high revs. It makes a lot of sense. But for her perspective, she would like comfort mode to relax a little bit more. She drives this car in RS individual mode, S automatic. It obviously is holding these gears a little bit higher. You floor it, downshifts 3 times, holding high revs. I go to performance manual mode to where obviously I control the transmission. But it's just that when you're in automatic mode, comfort mode, we would just like it to relax a little bit more. Now, my biggest complaint with this car, since I do normally drive it in manual mode when I'm having fun, is the steering. Now, this car handles very good. It is a very capable car. However, the steering, there's somewhat of a lag. It's kind of weird and hard to explain, but I don't know, it's almost like it's a variable steering to where the more you turn it, the more it starts turning. It's just that initial, once you start turning, the car seems to be delayed in following you. Once you're through the turn, it's really nice, but it's just, I don't know, it's a little interesting just the way it steers. It's so hard to explain. It has improved with the sway bar end lengths. We've upgraded the springs and spacers, but I just wish it was a little bit more darty in the steering and had a better feel. It's electric power steering, and it shows. The Toyota Supra I used to have, I had 2 of them, has electric power steering. So precise, you just do this with the steering wheel and it is responsive as can be. My new Civic Type R, same thing, it's so darn responsive. This just I don't know, it doesn't quite have that sports car steering feel that I absolutely love. So those are our two complaints with this car. Things my wife likes about this, she likes how simple Audi's technology is. She's not a fan of the BMWs where it's just one big screen, no physical climate controls. I totally agree with that. I hate having climate controls in the screen. I think that is one of the worst new trends in modern cars. She also likes just the ride quality. Audis drive really good. Every Audi I've ever been in just drives really, really nice. So that is something that is great to enjoy, to where you can drive this and you're in a luxury high-end premium car without really breaking the bank all too much. And then obviously she loves the power. She loves being able to step on it and sometimes maybe exceed the speed limit by just 1 or 2 miles per hour. She has a lead foot sometimes. I'm the one always in the passenger seat reminding her of what the speed limit is sometimes. So she definitely has the need for speed, and this car seems to suit her very well. As far as running costs, it's been absolutely nothing to bat an eye at. We don't get the greatest gas mileage maybe. We don't really care about gas mileage, quite honestly. We're averaging about 23 mpg in this car. Again, it's more city driving, so we don't really have that many highway long distance trips. And on top of that, whenever I do drive it and film a video, I might have a little extra fun and experience that 400 horsepower engine. But nonetheless, I mean, we don't drive our cars enough to genuinely care about gas mileage, but it's decent. If you are doing more highway cruising, we will get about 26 when we're doing a little bit more conservative driving. So it's a pretty fine daily driver. It's comfortable enough in comfort mode to do that. Well, I did one oil change at 1,000 miles just to kind of get any break-in oil, any residuals out of the car ASAP. That was maybe $100 at the most. I don't even remember, honestly. It was like 8 quarts of oil, I think it was. I had a whole video on that. Oil filter, nothing crazy. This was one of the easiest cars I've done an oil change on, and it was nothing. And that's the only bit of maintenance I've had to do. Now, as far as registration goes, we got our annual property tax bill. This car is going to cost us $600 to renew the registration. That's how North Carolina does it every year. We get a state inspection, and then we have to pay our property taxes on this car. So a state inspection will be like $30, and then I pay the property tax and get an updated sticker for the license plate, and we're good for another year. Insurance on this car isn't too expensive. It's about $800 per year. Now, a lot of people always comment about insurance. It varies so much depending on your zip code, where you live, your driving record. You know, my wife and I have each about 15 years of driving experience with no accidents and no tickets. We have the highest deductible available for the car, which I believe is $1,000. You save a lot of money when you do the highest deductible and pay annually. You will save a lot of money on insurance doing that. That's all the running costs. I don't think there's anything in addition to that. It does take premium fuel. It's about a $40 fill-up. Obviously, gas prices vary, but not really the worst thing as far as the pricing goes. On top of all that, I think one of my favorite things is the fact that you can go from comfort mode to your performance mode in the blink of an eye by just tapping that button. It is cool. It's a split personality car. You can instantly go to race mode, instantly back to relax mode. So it's been a great car overall. As far as future plans goes, I have touched about this on my garage update video recently. We're not in any rush to sell this car. My wife likes it, and we are going to own this as long as we can. I would assume maybe 5 years, just because we do like getting new cars. It's fun, and obviously I run a business around cars to where I'm able to write off some of the expenses to our cars for business use, since I create a lot of content and I create my income using these cars. So obviously we will sell this at one point, but this is the one car to where my wife has 100% control over what happens with this thing. If she wants to sell it, we'll sell it and get something new. If she doesn't want to sell it, I'm not going to pressure her to sell it for anything. So our goal is to basically use this car until it is simply too small. So in the future, you know, when family time comes, we're going to see how well the back seats do. I'm sure it'll be fine for some time, and then at some point we will swap it for something bigger. The cars that we're thinking of, Audi RS6, RS7, or the Audi RSQ8. She loves Audis. I think she will only ever have an Audi at this point. She just absolutely loves these cars, and those are the cars that she's wanting. I will be happy with either of them. They're fantastic. And of course, you know, you can play with them, do some mods, and have a super premium car and get extra size out of it. So that would be the next car, maybe 5 years. We'll see what happens. On top of that, plans to modify this car more. Tuning is what we are considering diving into next. This has not been tuned. I think most companies are still working on unlocking the ECUs for the 8Ys. So as that becomes more available, we have been talking to a few companies. We will go from there, do maybe a nice base tune the way it sits, and then upgrade a few parts, go to the next level, and then get into flex fuel. We'll see if there's any high flow catted downpipes or catless downpipes. Tuning has changed a lot since I had the GTR to where they don't really like messing with emissions things. Personally, I don't really care if we don't delete the cats on this. I'm perfectly fine with that. If we do a high flow cat or even just leave that stock, the thing's fast enough stock to where any bit of tuning on this is gonna be nuts. So that's kind of the only real changes. When these tires wear out, if they wear out in our ownership, we'll probably do new wheels as well, modify that a little bit, change up the stance, but I'm not really in a rush to change the look. I think it looks great the way it is. We've done a lot of just tasteful tweaks to the car to make it a bit better than stock. And that's kind of how we like our cars. You retain a lot of the factory aspects, but kind of give it one step above to where it drives better, it's more fun, and looks a heck of a lot better. So that's kind of the 1 year update with the 8Y Audi RS3. Would I recommend this to somebody? Absolutely. I think it's a great sedan. It is on the small side. So I'm 5'11". I feel like if I was any taller, I might not like this car as much. Personally, if this were my own car, I think I would have bought a BMW M2 just because I like two-doored cars. For me, I almost feel too tall for the driver's seat just because the pillars are right here. I just prefer two-doored cars. So I think if you are getting to 6 feet, this might just be a little small for you. For me, again, if I was getting a sedan, the M3 is kind of my size. I also like Audi's RS3 Sportback. So I think the only downfalls with this car, generally speaking, are gonna be the size point to where if you're on the tall side, this might not work for you. If you're below 6 feet, I don't think you'd have an issue. And if you're mid 5 feet, you're probably gonna love it. You're gonna feel amazing driving this car. And you know, this is my wife's car, and she fits perfectly in it, and this is exactly the size of car that she really likes. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for plenty more content. And take a look at our website, links below if you want parts for your RS3. They certainly wake these things up. I'll see you guys in the next video.